News and more from our community. To add to all the excitement today, we have Mississippi Moments with the Grand Capers and a news wrap with Nishranika to ensure you're up to date on all the hottest topics. And guess what? We have a very special guest for you today, Dr. Andrew Haley with University Forum. You definitely want to stay tuned for what they have to share with us today. But before we jump into all the fun, here's a quick message from our sponsors. So hang tight, we'll be right back for more Southern Miss Today.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
My name is Lola Silvestri, and I'm going to be 95 this year. I was very independent. I fell, and I had to have Meals on Wheels. America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
Welcome back. In campus news, there will be a performance of The Music Man this week. There's trouble in River City when a fast-talking salesman gets his heart stolen by the town librarian. Funny, warm, romantic, and touching, The Music Man is a family entertainment at its best. Meredith Willson's 6-time Tony Award-winning musical has been an entertaining audience since 1957 and is a family-friendly story to be shared with every generation. With a one-of-a-kind nostalgic score of rousing marches, barbershop quartets, and sequential ballads, which have become popular standards, this critically acclaimed Broadway classic is an all-American institution. The Music Man follows a fast-talking traveling salesman, Harold Hill, as he cons the people of River City, Iowa, into buying instruments and uniforms for boys' bands that he vows to organize. This, despite the fact that he doesn't know a trombone from a treble clef. His plans to skip town with cash are foiled when he falls for Marion, the librarian, who transforms him into a respectable citizen by curtain fall. The show will be through Sunday in Monone. Students get in free with their IDs. Also in campus news, the campus community is invited to join the Southern Miss Activities Council at its annual Kids Halloween Carnival on Wednesday, October 30th from 4:30 to 6:30 p.m. at the District on Hattiesburg campus. In case of inclement weather, the event will be held in the R.C. Cook lobby. The event is free and open to the public. Kids will be able to visit different booths manned by offices and student organizations on campus, play on several bounce house structures, and participate in a costume contest. If you have any questions, email lsi@usm.edu. In Hattiesburg news, if you need a little help from Santa this year, don't miss your chance to sign up for the Toys for Tots Christmas program. Hattiesburg is holding a registration drive to ensure that as many families as possible receive the support they need this Christmas. Family distribution day for accepted applicants will be December 17th. On the day, applicants must bring identification, proof of income and residency, and a birth certificate for each child present. If you have any questions, call 601-568-1946. In Mississippi news, there are many events happening in Mississippi leading up to Halloween. On Wednesday, Bay St. Louis, there will be a Mystic Ghost Rides Haunted Bayou cruise on Bayou Caddy. Gulfport will have a trick-or-treat event from 6 to 8 p.m. at Harrison County Fairgrounds, and Ocean Springs will have a candlelit concert, a haunted event of Halloween classics at 8:30 p.m. at the Cultural Arts Center. On Thursday, Halloween, in Bay St. Louis, there will be a Cedar Rest Cemetery tour at 200 South 2nd Street. There will also be another Mystic Ghost Rides cruise. Gulfport will have a haunted trail at the Den at 6 to 9 p.m., and Pascagoula will have their 30th annual Elks 1120 trunk-or-treat from 6 to 8 p.m. at 303 Krebs Avenue. That's your news update from Southern Miss Today. Next, we'll have the latest in sports and weather, so stay tuned. We'll be back after a word from our sponsors.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online. Sponsorship comes from American Graphics. Located at 8 Commercial Warehouse Drive in Hattiesburg, American Graphics provides custom screen printing and embroidery. They can be reached by phone at 601-602-2277, and the website is goamericangraphics.com. American Graphics, printing at its finest.
Welcome back with our action-packed sports segment. Let's dive into the latest scores, highlights, and sports. Get your jerseys on because it's game time. Our next football game will be against Marshall next Saturday, November 9th. Go Eagles! Today, October 29th, the women's golf team will be playing at the Hattiesburg Country Club. Tomorrow, Wednesday, October 30th, the women's basketball team will be playing at the Mississippi Collegiate Exhibition. Next, head to southernmiss.com to keep up with all the Golden Eagle sports activities. As for weather today, look for a low of 62 with a low chance of rain and a high of 84. The feels like for today is 62 to 85 degrees. Tomorrow, look for a low of 61 and a high of 83 with a 15% chance of rain. Tomorrow's feels like is 59 to 84 degrees. Up next, we have Mississippi Moments produced by the Center of Oral History and Cultural Heritage with the Grand Capers and the thriving nightlife of Vicksburg. Check it out.
This is Mississippi Moments, produced by the Center for Oral History and Cultural Heritage at the University of Southern Mississippi and supported by the Mississippi Humanities Council. I'm Bill Ellison. Until it was shut down during World War I, Vicksburg was home to a thriving red light district. Local historian LeGrand Capers recalls the city's ornate palaces of gambling and prostitution.
I heard about the area on Mulberry Street from China Street on the north to South Street on the south, known as the Red Light District, and particularly about one celebrated house, 15 China, that had been in existence in the early 1860s, and where it was said the wealthy plantation owners of the Mississippi Delta came for many, many years to drink, play poker, and otherwise divert themselves. During World War I, the government asked the administration here to close the district to protect the morals of soldiers who came here from Camp Shelby at Hattiesburg, and the city did so. After the war, most of these houses never opened up again. The exception was the famous number 15. It opened and closed several times with different landladies until finally in the late 30s it was run down and ugly and it closed for good.
Bill Ellison hosts Voices of Our People World War II, a new podcast from Mississippi Moments, sponsored by the Mississippi Humanities Council. That's Voices of Our People World War II, wherever you get your podcasts.
That was your Mississippi Moment for today. Coming up, we have the pleasure of hearing from Dr. Andrew Haley.
Sponsorship for Southern Miss Today comes from Mississippi Beverages. Mississippi Beverages provides water, water coolers, and coffee service throughout South Mississippi. Take half of your weight in pounds. That's how many ounces of water you need a day. Mississippi Beverages can help you reach that goal by delivering fresh water to your door. To get more information or to set up a cooler and water delivery, you can call Mississippi Beverages at 601-271-2420, or you can find them online.
Hey America, we need to have a little talk. We've got a lot of food in this country, so how are 17 million kids in America struggling with hunger? That's why the Feeding America nationwide network of food banks gathers surplus food and gets it to hungry kids who need it. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
To help solve hunger in Mississippi, contact Mississippi Food Network or visit feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Now please give a warm Golden Eagle welcome to Dr. Andrew Haley. How are you?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Thank you for being with us. To kick things off, could you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself as your role at USM?
Sure. I'm associate professor in the history program here in the School of Humanities, but I'm also the University Forum director, at least for another month. In that role, I helped to set up the University Forum Speaker Series, and we've had 2 great speakers already this semester, and we're looking forward to our 3rd.
Okay, awesome. For listeners who may not be familiar, there is going to be the speaker this time is going to be Erin Brockovich. Could you give an overview of who Erin Brockovich is and what she's known for?
Yeah, Erin Brockovich is a remarkable person, and she was a remarkable person before a movie called Erin Brockovich was made by Stephen Sondheim and starred Julia Roberts some years ago. But she came to fame, and the movie was made about her experiences in Hinckley, California. She was a divorced mother of 3. She got into a car accident. She hired a lawyer and eventually went to work for that lawyer. And while she was working for the lawyer on some very routine paralegal work. She noticed a pattern of illness in Hinckley, ultimately resulted in a direct action, a kind of class action lawsuit against the energy company, Pacific Gas and Electric. And what the suit claimed is that they had been polluting the local water supply, and this had created cancers and other illnesses in the community. In the end, it resulted in what at the time was the largest direct action settlement in American history. It was $333 million that was distributed among the 600 residents who had been affected in the community. And that launched her career as an environmental activist. She has her own consulting firm where she provides consulting advice to communities that are confronting environmental groundwater issues. She wrote a best-selling memoir, and more recently she wrote a book called Superman's Not Coming, Our National Water Crisis, and What We the People Can Do about it. And that is the book she'll be talking about, and that I think has a real interest for Mississippians these days.
Okay, thank you. What do you think it is about Erin Brockovich's story that resonates so deeply with people, even years after everything that happened?
Yeah, I think what's fascinating about her story is that she did not start off as an environmental activist. She started off as someone doing their job, who discovered what groundwater contamination can actually do to a community. And she's taken that message and turned it into a mandate for all of us. So in her book, Superman's Not Coming, and I suspect in her talk that she's going to give in 2 weeks, she doesn't say you all need to file a lawsuit, but she does say you all need to know what your water is. You need to test your own water, and if you find that there are pollutants in your water, you need to get involved. And that involvement might mean lobbying your local companies, or it might mean getting involved in city politics, or it might involve a lawsuit. But she's taken her own story, right, of a kind of grassroots activism, and she now believes this is a mandate for all of us. If we don't do something about our water supply, we know this from Flint, Michigan, we know this from Jackson, Mississippi, our water supply is going to be contaminated. There are lead pipes out there, there are industrial contaminants that have been put into our water, and her argument is we need to take responsibility for that.
I definitely think from what I know about her that one thing that makes people feel so connected about it is that they feel like they try to do something and they're ignored or they're not listened to, or people just like, it seems to be kind of common in some places where they're just like, residents are not told about things that are going on and they feel like they're being lied to and not like being in the know of what is happening.
And that's an excellent point. And I think that's, Brockovich had made a similar point. She doesn't really see herself as an environmental activist. She sees herself as an activist for transparency, for openness, right? And so the first step is recognizing there's a problem, doing the research, and making that research known to your community. Because when people find out that their water is contaminated or their parks are unclean or whatever it may happen to be, then that action kind of follows. So she sees herself as a kind of consumer activist, a transparency activist, who believes that if we learn about the threats around us, we can do something about them.
Of course. What does USM hope to achieve by bringing her here?
Well, University Forum is a space where we bring speakers from across the country, who are engaged in current events, who are experts in their particular field, whether it be science or the arts or the humanities, and we give them a chance to speak. We don't have a particular agenda in bringing a particular speaker, but we want our students, our faculty, and our community to be aware of what the big conversations that are happening around the nation are and how they are shaping our own lives, right? And we want to prepare students here, not just to have a math degree or a history degree or a dance degree, but to be kind of citizens of the United States. And that means being part of these bigger conversations. So certainly one of the biggest conversations that's been going on in Mississippi and across the country recently is the issue of groundwater contamination. And so we're trying to be part of that conversation.
Wonderful. Actually, my follow-up question to that was this, what the specific goals are, but you answered that wonderfully. How do you see her message aligning with the interests and concerns of our students?
Well, I would hope as citizens of Mississippi, or just citizens of any state, that we're taking an interest in the world around us, right? And some of that is getting involved in politics. The election is coming up in a week, right? But it also is, politics are often local, and it's taking interest in your community. There's been a lot of studies recently about how our happiness level is tied to the quality of community life we have. If our downtown streets are clean, if our garbage is picked up, if our water supply is safe, we're happier. But that just doesn't happen by itself. In a democracy, we're all kind of called to action. So.
Okay, thank you. Are there ways her story might be relevant to our community besides what you mentioned about the groundwater, and maybe a way not specifically to environmental issues, but I'm trying to think of how to say this, that her overall concern for her personal concern to bring attention to something? Do you think students could learn, even if it doesn't apply to environmental issues, that they could learn from her actions how to take the steps that she took?
Yeah, she's her book is very much about how to do this, right? So it's not just go out and solve your problems, right? It's offers practical advice on how to be engaged in your community, and so I think that's absolutely the big message here. It's not about environmental causes or only about environmental causes. It is about taking some responsibility for the community you're living in, whether that's, running for public office or volunteering to work for the elections or, testing your own groundwater or your water supply to see what it is, whether it's, going to the park on the weekends to pick up garbage. It's taking some responsibility for your community. And I think on November 12th, when she's here, that's the message she's going to promote as much as a message about environmentalism.
Awesome. Sorry. Erin's work often inspires people to make differences in their own communities. What resources or support does USM provide for students who want to get involved with environmental issues or their community?
Well, we have a remarkable service learning program here where students through their classes or through the service learning office can get involved in community activism. But you don't need the university to do this, right? I mean, we all have the power to go out and make some changes in our community. Get on Nextdoor, one of those other community apps on, Facebook or Instagram, and find other people, like-minded people, and take on the issues that are bothering you. I think the most important thing is not to look the other way, to understand that we all have a responsibility for the world, the communities we live in.
And you don't even have to have a group of people to go do anything. Like me and my roommate we'll go out to go shopping, and then we're like, oh, let's stop by some places and just pick up trash that's by the road or pick up trash that's like in this dog park.
Well, that's right. I mean, you don't have to have a group to pick up trash at the dog park. You don't have to have a group to go to city council meetings, attend them, and to find out what's going on in your community. So.
And if you can't find a group, you could really just make one, because there's a lot of people that are either they also can't find a group, or they're too scared to start a group, or they don't know how to, and you could just start another group, even better.
That's right. And I'm not the expert on this. Erin Brockovich is, and she's going to tell you how to go about that when she speaks here again on November 12th. It's at 6:30. It's in Bennett Auditorium, which has been the traditional home of the University Forum.
Okay, awesome. Beyond this event, are there any other initiatives or collaborations that USM is planning to further educate and empower students?
Well, I mean, there's all sorts of things happening on
Yeah.
campus, and I can't claim to be an expert on all of them, but I can tell you that University Forum it has a great slate of speakers for next spring. Our first speaker is the Poet Laureate of the United States, Ada Limon. She's the first Hispanic, Latina Poet Laureate of the United States, and she'll be speaking on February 11th in Bennett Auditorium at 6:30. We're then partnering with the Armstrong Branch Lecture Series to bring a speaker still undisclosed at the moment, but that will be in March, on March 18th, and then on April 8th, we have a really unique event. We're bringing in a speaker and singer, Lockie. She's played a very significant role in advocating for disability rights within the music community and at various music award programming. She herself is legally blind, and she will be talking to us about disability activism, but she'll be also performing, and so that'll be over in Mononi, so we can take advantage of that, of the stage and the sound equipment over there.
Awesome. Could you provide, for anyone that might not know about University Forum or didn't listen to the last time you were here, could you provide just some background information on like its purpose at the school?
Sure. University Forum is now in its 50th year of bringing speakers to campus. And we see this as part of a kind of supplementary education, right? Again, you'll get your math classes, you'll get your humanities classes, but the world is a little bigger than your major. And we want our students and frankly our faculty and community members to participate in these broader conversations that are happening in the United States. And so earlier on this semester, we had Ed Young, who talked about animal science research and how we are coming to understand our world by understanding better the way that animals sense and experience the world. And then last month, we had the former CNN correspondent Kathleen Koch talked to us. Kathleen Koch spoke about her own journey as a USM student who became a CNN correspondent, and how that's the kind of model that people throughout her life told her, you know, there's a limit to what you can do. You're a woman, you are from Mississippi, and yet as she hit each of these barriers, she found that a kind of persistence allowed her to move forward. She became, as I said, for 12, 13 years, was a CNN correspondent, specialized in covering Capitol Hill and the presidency for a while, and then really specialized on disaster coverage, which became incredibly relevant to her when she covered Katrina. She was from Bay St. Louis, and so she came from the kind of heart of where the hurricane had hit. So our speakers are designed to we bring in speakers who are designed to make you think about the big issues that are happening in the world and to realize your own potential to make a difference in this world.
Awesome. Oh, Lord. You just went over the overview of the University Forum. Is there anything else you'd like to leave the listeners with?
Well, again, University Forum is a real treasure. This is our 50th anniversary. We've been doing this for 50 years. We've had Supreme Court justices. We've had comic book authors. We have had Nobel laureates. We have had people who have won the National Book Award, I mean, numerous times. You can go to usm.edu/forum, and we have a history page there where you can go back and take a look at many of the amazing people who have spoken here. There have been people like Gloria Steinem, who led the feminist movement in the United States. And we've had civil rights activists. We've had founders of modern conservatism. It is a nonpartisan, unbiased series that brings amazing speakers to Southern Miss. Speakers who we know from the past 50 years, if they haven't changed the world already, they're about to change the world. Pick up the New York Times and look at the editorials over the past 2 or 3 months, and you'll see editorials by speakers that we've had, people like Sarah Smarsh. In fact, Aaron Brockovich had an editorial a few weeks ago in the New York Times. Ada Limon, our speaker for February, just wrote a poem that went up on with a recent spacecraft. And so these are people who really are engaged in what's happening outside of Mississippi, and we want all of you to be part of that conversation.
Wonderful. Well, thank you for coming in today and providing insight into what you do. Coming up, we've got Nishranika on a new sensory room for neurodivergent computer science students.
For Southern Miss Student Media, I'm Nishranika. Sometimes when I'm overwhelmed, I just want to stay in a quiet room with calming lights and a weighted blanket. And while I can't do that on campus, computer science majors will soon be able to. The School of Computing Sciences and Computing Engineering is now opening a new sensory room to help promote socialization and productivity among neurodivergent students. The department noticed that neurodivergent students often found it difficult to navigate the sensory-rich environment of college. Dr. Liz McGowan explains the purpose of the room.
So the room was originally created to give neurodiverse students within the computing science and computing engineering space to go if they, were experiencing sensory overload or, needed somewhere quiet, or, if they were anxiety or having issues like that. So
the room will be equipped with a range of sensory tools like weighted blankets, noise-canceling headphones, fidget toys, and calming lighting. Jessica Hillman, the assistant to the director of the USM School of Computing Sciences, explains that the room was made to help students manage anxiety and stress and foster social skills.
And I think the goals were, you couldn't say it better than this, the primary goal of this project is to create a sensory room that caters to the unique needs of the neurodiverse students. And our objectives are reducing the stress and anxiety, regulating sensory input, improving focus and attention, and fostering the development of social skills and relationships. I think that's key.
Students also seem excited about the room. Stephen Josie, a computer science major, expresses his views on the topic.
Having a sensory room would definitely help the students. It will especially help the individuals who have ADHD or who have problem focusing. And these days, distractions can bother us a lot. So having a room that helps us focus will definitely be a plus to the department.
I wish chemistry department would do that, but I will have to take care of my chemicals-induced headaches at home for now. For Southern Miss Student Media, I'm Nishranika.
Thank you for listening to Southern Miss Today on Southern Miss Radio. We are thankful for Seb Hodges, our audio engineer, and Michaela Williams, our film producer, for keeping this bird soaring. We especially want to thank our program director, Shania Williams, our executive producer, Oari, our assistant producer, Adeline Fields, and our general manager, Dr. Martin, as well as our guest, Dr. Andrew Haley, today. That's all today on Southern Miss Radio. Thank you for listening, and remember, fly, eagle, fly. I'm your host, Abby Buzagard, signing off. Stay creepy.
Sponsorship comes from Southern Beverage, your local Michelob Ultra distributor. Michelob Ultra has significantly fewer carbs and calories per serving if you are watching those in your diet. You can reach Southern Beverage by phone at 601-268-9111, or you can find them on the internet at southernbeverage.com. Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri, and Southern Beverage ask you to please drink responsibly. Since 1927, the Student Prince has been a direct conduit to USM students. Get your share of the more than $600 million USM brings into South Mississippi by advertising your business or service in the Student Prince. To find out more about how to advertise in the Student Prince, email sm2